draw cards in this deck, to be able to get to Slifer so fast, and even be able to tribute your opponent's monsters to be able to summon Slifer, which is absolutely crazy. This deck is probably one of the most consistent ways to actually summon Slifer the Sky Dragon, outside of playing in the Arcana Knights with King's Knight, Queen's Knight, and Jack's Knight. This is
basically the deck you play
really amazing deck as well. I'm really excited to show you guys this deck because this deck is super fun and it is a really amazing deck. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell there so you can come part of notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name in the description of every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Slifer the Sky Dragon. Now this card is absolutely nuts. It has the ability that it requires 3 tributes to summon this card to your side of the field. It cannot be normal or set, and it has the ability that you cannot negate the summon of this card. And then when this card is normal summon, cards and effects cannot be activated. And then once per turn, during the end phase, if this card was special summon, send it to the graveyard, and it gains 1,000 attack for each card in your hand. And if a monster is normal summoned or special summoned to your opponent's side of the field in attack position, that monster loses 2,000 attack points. And then if its attack is reduced to 0, you immediately destroy the monster. This card is absolutely nuts. I love that effect to be able to just immediately destroy a monster. And this card is really nuts. We then play 3 copies of Numeron Wall. Numeron Wall basically gets your field spell out of your deck, because if you control no cards except Numeron Walls, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to activate a Numeron network directly from your hand or deck. You only select this card once per turn, and when you take a battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, end the battle phase. We then play 3 copies of Reactor Slime. Reactor Slime is actually really good and kind of a throwback to the first time we actually saw Slifer the Sky Dragon, which is really cool. Like, I really like that. It has the ability that during the main phase you can activate this effect to be able to special summon 2 more slime tokens to your side of the field, and also you cannot normal or special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for divine beast monsters. And then during the battle phase, quick effect, you contribute this card, and then you get to set a Metal Reflect Slime to your side of the field from your hand, deck, or graveyard. It can be activated this turn, which is really good, just to be able to immediately activate this card. Now, this is a really cool tech card that I'm going to be playing next in this deck, and it's actually going to be a single copy of Morphing Jar. So Slifer is all about having cards in your hand. So basically what this card does is it resets your whole hand, because it lets you draw 5 cards. It discards your entire hand to the graveyard, and then you draw 5 cards. You usually want to use this card with Slifer the Sky Dragon already on the field, because if your opponent does attack into this card, you're going to make your opponent discard everything in their hand, and then they're going to draw 5 more, and you're going to discard everything in your hand, and you're going to draw 5 more as well. So this card's actually a really amazing surprise tech in this deck that I love to actually play. We then played 3 copies of Cyframe Gear Gamma, which is really important for this deck as a hand trap, to be able to basically stop your opponent from hand trapping you. So basically you just throw this card on your side of the field when they try and hand trap you, when you try and activate Numeron Network. And a single copy of Cyframe Driver, which Cyframe Driver is basically just here for Gamma to be able to special summon it out, which is very, very nice. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Not a lot of monsters, just the Reactor Slimes, the Slifers, and the Numeron Walls, and a couple hand traps, which is really amazing. I really like the way this deck actually plays. We're going to be playing, for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. The Monster Reborn is really important because it's going to let you get an additional monster on your side of the field, which is very important. We play a single copy of Call by the Grave. The Call by the Grave is really good in this deck to be able to stop hand traps as well. As you guys can see with the Gammas and the copy of Call by the Grave, you're just going to have so much stopping your opponent with hand traps, it's not even going to be funny. You play a single copy of Terraforming because it's going to let you get to your copy of your Numeron Network. We play a single copy of Set Rotation because we actually play 2 field spells in this particular deck.
That was the card I was
telling you. He actually plays a Mound of the Bound Creator because you're trying to get to your copy of Numeron Network as fast as possible. And you don't want Slifer to have any chance to die. Numeron Network in this particular deck. So this card is very important for this particular deck, because if you activate Set Rotation, you give your opponent the copy of Mound of the Bound Creator, because level 10 or higher monsters on the field cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects, which is very important because it's a blanket effect for the field. And if a level 10 or higher monster destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the grave, the player who controlled the destroyed monster takes 1,000 damage. And when this card on the field is destroyed by card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can add a divine monster from your deck to your hand. So if this card does get destroyed, it does go to your graveyard, so you will add a Slifer the Sky Dragon from your deck to your hand.
So
and
you give it to your opponent and pop it, it would go to your grave, so I think you get the search.
You then play a single copy of Thunder Force Attack. Thunder Force Attack has a really amazing effect. I just like to play one copy of it because it's really neat when he actually pops off, because this card's activation cannot be negated. If you control monsters, original name is Slifer the Sky Dragon, you destroy as many face-up monsters your opponent controls as possible. And then, if this card is activated during the main phase, you can apply the effect to draw cards equal to the number of destroyed cards by this effect, and then sent to your opponent's graveyard. And also, you can only attack with one monster this turn, which is not going to matter.
The board and draw
it's going to gain
number of
against
cards
your opponent because you're going to summon Slifer the Sky Dragon. We then play 3 copies of Soul Crossing. Soul Crossing basically turns Slifer the Sky Dragon into a kaiju, because basically you're going to be able to tribute your opponent's monsters to be able to summon out your copy of your Slifer the Sky Dragon.
You finally got your dang Soul Exchange card.
You
always were like, that's how Soul Exchange works. Like, no, it doesn't.
That's what I said.
I knew it was. Which doesn't super matter. Which is really amazing that you can just get rid of 3 monsters on opponent's side of the field.
You were like,
but until the end of
Soul
the next
Exchange,
turn
steal
after
3 of your opponent's
resolves,
monsters.
you can only activate 1 card.
That's what I'm saying.
Other than
now you basically have that.
Yeah.
Which is really cool that it kind of like locks you into
like a really nasty version of Monarch Stormborn
besides this card. We then play 3 copies of Numeron Network. Numeron Network is extremely important in this deck because during your main phase you get to send a Numeron spell card from your
You'd play 3 of that?
to the graveyard to be able to basically copy the effect, which is really cool. Which is a card that you're only going to be able to send to the graveyard is 2 copies of Numeron Calling, which you're going to be playing as 2 of. You're always going to send this card to the graveyard off your copy.
File your taxes free.
Fuck you, YouTube. You suck.
Free. Get unlimited advice from tax experts. Free.
You can skip that, right?
Do it all for you.
Numeron Network to copy its effect.
You're getting
Numeron
that
Network
video.
is in your field spell zone, and you control no monsters. You can special summon up to 4 Numeron Gate.
That's
Z
the
monsters
card
with
he
different
probably
names.
played.
From your extract, but banish them during the end phase, and also you can only normal or special summon 1 more time for the rest of the turn, which is usually going to be Slifer the Sky Dragon or your copy of Megaclops, either or to your side of the field. Really cool.
You can only normal or special ones
summon them to your
one
side
more
of the
time.
field.
Yeah.
And then for the last 3 spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Memories of Hope. This card is absolutely crazy. If you draw this card in Numeron Network, you're probably going to summon Slifer, because during you get to activate this card,
deck before.
and then when you activate this card, you draw cards equal to the number of XZ monsters with different names you control, which is pretty good because you basically use Numeron Network to draw 4, which is pretty crazy in this particular deck. To just be able to drop Numeron Network, send Numeron Calling to the graveyard, activate this, draw 4, and then basically summon Slifer with 4,000 attack, which is pretty good. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Metal Reflect Slime, because you're going to be going into your copy of your Egyptian God Slime in this particular deck. And this card's really good to combo with your copy of your Slime Reactor to be able to set this card to your side of the field to then treat your copies of your Egyptian God Slime as 3 tributes. We then play 3 copies of Reckless Greed. Reckless Greed lets you draw 2, but you skip the next 2 draw phases. But with the amount of draw power in this deck, it's not going to super matter, because you're trying to power up Slifer as big as possible and as quick as possible to be able to OTK your opponent, which is really important to end it with 1 attack. Then we play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment to round out the traps, because basically you're just using this card to stop your opponent in any different scenario that you might need. This card is very important for this particular deck to be able to play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, because it basically says no to your opponent. You can, if you want to play Ash Blossom, you can play Ash Blossom in its place, or Dark Ruler No More. Either or works. I like to personally play the Judgments, because I usually like to go first to establish the Slifer with a copy of Judgment in back row, because sometimes you will actually draw too much in this particular deck, so you want to be able to set some of your back row so you don't actually have to discard during the end phase, because sometimes you will draw more than 6 cards in a turn, and being able to set your copy of Judgment to your side of the field is just really good to be able to just basically look at your opponent and go, that's fine. Set Judgment, set 2 or 3 Judgments in back row, have Slifer, everything you normal summon in attack mode. I'm just going to basically stop it, and then the Judgments are going to stop the spells and traps that try and deal with Slifer. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of gate number 1. So all of the gates actually share the ability, so we're just going to go over them once. So basically they cannot be destroyed by battle, and at the end of the damage step, if this card battle an opponent's monster, you can detach a material from this card, double the attack of the Numeron, or double the attack of all Numeron monsters you control currently on the field. But if you have Numeron Network, you don't have to detach some materials to activate that effect. So basically, after 1 attack, they go to 2,000, and then 4,000, and then finally the final attack of the gate will actually be 8,000. So it actually does a considerable amount of damage, which is really cool. We then play 2 copies of gate number 2, 2 copies of gate number 3, and 2 copies of gate number 4, which all of these do the exact same thing.
How the hell
they don't change the effect at all. They do the exact same thing between each gate. They all share the same effect.
Yeah, he
they cannot be destroyed battle. At the end of the damage shift that they battle, then you detach material from them and then double the attack of all their Numeron monsters on the field, which is not that big of a deal because basically you're going to just not have to detach because Numeron Network says, hey, you don't have to detach at all to activate the effect, because basically this particular card makes it so you don't have to have materials on this card because it has the ability, this effect of spell effects cannot be activated, and then once per turn, Numeron monsters, or excuse me, it has a period there, Numeron monsters you control can activate their effects without detaching any materials. That's a really insane.
Fuck!
I really love it, and it makes this fusion insane. We then play a single copy of number C1.
No wonder why that card was expensive.
Sonya's okay. I just like it as a 1-of because if this card is XZ summoned, you get to banish all monsters on the field.
Fuck.
And then once per turn during the next summon phase after this card, this card was banished, you can special summon this
oh shit! I didn't think about that.
The damage your opponent equal the combined attack of all banished all banished XZ monsters, which is pretty good. You can also XZ summon this card on top of a number 1 Numeron gate. You control.
You don't get to play your
scrubby
card.
One of the gate number 1s.
You talking about my big
Numeron is?
Yeah.
I don't know that he's going to play
C1.
One copy of Megaclops because you don't have Slifer, you can actually make this,
I need to look at the price of that fucker.
One copy of Skull Dread because you can actually use this
I know I don't
with your gates, which is pretty good.
What, that?
That
used to be fucking $50.
On top of the deck, which lets you kind of dig a little bit in the deck, or kind of reset your hand if you need to. One copy of Omega because Omega
finally got a copy of that.
Copy of your Slifer and your Gamma. Be able to rip a card out of your opponent's hand, and then 2 copies.
This
of
card's like worth.
Because you can actually make these with your
I'd
copies
see that
of
probably goes
your
for the past.
Metal Reflect slime, which is very important to be able to make to your side of the field because you can use these as tributes for the entire requirement of Slifer the Sky Dragon. So that's it for this particular deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really amazing deck to be able to play around with. I love the way this deck actually plays. It's a really amazing deck.
So that's
really amazing interactions that are in this deck that we actually had.
So that's
what
an actual Numeron network
this entire
does.
Time. Which
that's just
Raw has its own archetype.
That's going to be banned.
You get to draw so much in this particular deck. It's just absolutely
People
insane.
thought this deck was going to be so good with Zexal and whatnot, and it never did anything.
Coming up, which if you guys have not checked out the other ones, you definitely should. I don't know which one's going to drop first.
He does have a test.
We'll probably use Slifer, Obelisk, and then Raw. So definitely check out all 3 when they hit YouTube. Definitely turn on the notification bell so you can see all 3 as they come out. And if you're not subscribed, definitely do so.
Basically, what you're trying to do is just get out Slifer and then just install.
See you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.
But you can pretty much play that with any